Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring. And hello again, dear ones. Dr. Robert with you over here.
And Rev Nicole here.
And this is New Thought Today for March 24th, 2026. Rev Z is off on, you know how he does those worldly travels, folks. So he's somewhere else doing something else. But that's okay, because that gives me an opportunity to have a deeper dive conversation with a very long time and dear friend, Rev Nicole Merges. She's somewhere way up in the mountains of Utah, and I'm a little jealous because I don't get over that way as often as I would like anymore. But Rev Nicole, welcome aboard.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. And isn't this where it all started? Our deep conversations after a day on the slopes?
It did, exactly. And all over Big Cottonwood Canyon. So really grateful that you're with me here today. Let's get started. Go ahead and tell folks out there a little bit more about you and what they need to know about you so we can get started with our conversation today.
All right. Well, let's see. What do they want to know about me? Well, I'm Rev Nicole. I have been spiritual before I even knew that there was such a thing as spiritual. And you can attest for that, Robert. We've had these deep conversations before we even knew there was something for us, and that was science of mind. And so I'm deeply rooted in science of mind. I hold a master's of consciousness, and I am an ordained minister with Centers for Spiritual Living. And I used to work at home office for 10 years until my body started calling me in a different direction. And it was time to listen to it. It was just time to listen to it. So I started listening to it. That transformed my life again, took me deeper into my own inner wisdom and my own journey. And here I am 2.5 years later, after I left CSL, a whole new person, transformed from the inside out.
Yeah. That happens in this movement. That happens a lot in this movement. And I was thinking the other day, because I knew you'd be on the show, and I was reflecting back, and some old memories flashed through. And I remember the very first time we met. It was at the bar at Brighton, and Billy Schmidt had called and said, "Hey, my friend's coming out. She's going to find you, take care of her." And I remember you walking up the stairs and walking in, and I just happened to be looking at the stairs at the moment and thought, well, there's somebody I've never met before. And somehow you made a beeline and like, you're Robert, aren't you? And I was like, yup. Billy Schmidt sent me to find you. I was like, yup. I had a feeling, and we've had a great friendship ever since. And that was like the old life, because that was before either of us found New Thought and found Centers for Spiritual Living or the Science of Mind. And we've kind of grown up together in this movement. You got into ministerial school a little ahead of me and went to a different campus. And but I've always just loved your willingness to be open to the recreation, to saying, hey, that's what was, and something different is now calling me into something more. And so I'm excited to hear a little bit more about it. We haven't talked in a while, so I'm excited to hear a little bit more about it, and I'm sure our viewers are as well. The new venture is known as Bright Soul Wellness, if I understand correctly. So fill us in a little bit. Tell us more about what all this is about.
Yeah, I think I want to start with how this came about, because when my body was calling me and it was really time for me to listen deeply, and I left CSL, I made a pact with myself. I made a pact that I was only going to do things that brought me joy. And so I enrolled in a tarot mysticism academy. I skied, and that affirmation also allowed me to experience joy while I was having these phantom serious symptoms in my body that I could not affirm away, pray away, think away. My mindset was spot on, and I was still having symptoms. And so I did what any good religious science would do, is I went deeper into them. And instead of using my mind, I started to listen to what my body was telling me. And at first, I started chasing the symptoms. So in that journey, I found out through my own process that, hey, I was actually trying to find out what was wrong with me. And and that got me nowhere. It got me to more depression, more I'm never going to get out of this, more. And then I realized I was like asking myself the wrong question, like not what is wrong with me, but what is my body saying? Yeah. And so I started going in and really listening to what my body was saying, getting in touch with my inner world. And what I realized was my body was carrying a lot of trauma, and it was really insidious. Like I didn't realize that hiding in plain sight was actually a trauma response. I didn't realize that even though I was affirming and saying all my spiritual mind treatments and my body felt terrible afterwards, that I couldn't pray that away, or I couldn't affirm that away. So I hit this ceiling of healing, so to speak. And I started changing the question, like, what does my body need from me right now? What am I holding on to? What is my body trying to tell me? And that just took me deeper. It actually broke through the ceiling that I was feeling in healing. There's a little rhyme for you. And it took me deeper into what was actually going on in my inner world. Like how is my shame showing up? How is my anger being hidden? And how can I make space for all of it, not to try to get rid of it, but to try to, how do I build capacity to hold all of it and give space for all of it? And that just led me in a deep, deep journey. And I knew that I wanted to get into coaching afterwards. So I pursued the coaching aspect, and I had a number of clients, but I would take them to the ceiling again. And I'd be like, how do I'm here. How do I get past that? Which then led me to the Center for Healing, where I started studying root cause therapy, trauma-informed coaching and manifestation. And then I got into the somatic embodied processing work. And that totally changed my life. And I would say that it's not that I'm different. It's that all that noise that was covering up my authentic self started to quiet down. And then I, who I have always been, started to show up. And then that I realized that I wasn't necessarily a coach. So, because what I really am passionate about is transformation and healing. And so I with my studies, and now I brand myself as a holistic healer because I employ science of mind, all of the therapies that I got certified in, but also my intuition and just being with people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's how Bright Soul Wellness was formed.
Right on. I love it. Yeah, we've had many of these conversations over time, and for me, Science of Mind was a great epiphany at the time. It was a great awakening, and over time, it becomes about the evolution of the human individual, and that leads to a greater evolution of the world around us, of organizations we serve and the places where we show up and all of that. And one of the things I've noticed, and you're speaking to, is that sense of we're hiding in plain sight, often being reflecting the traumas that we're either unwilling or unconscious of, unwilling to admit or unconscious of, and we don't seem. I don't see a lot of that in in the basics, let's say, or in our centers around the country. I don't see a lot of trauma enforced support. And so many of us have that, and it's real easy to get into the spiritual bypass of, oh, pray it away, or just, do some affirmations. But these things live in the body. And when I heard that you're moving in this direction, when you shared that, I was like, this is important. This is important work, because it is one of the, I want to say, more immature keys to real healing, when we start to listen to the body and start to come to embody these principles rather than just put them in our heads.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of the things that I've been carrying actually happened before I even had a language, right? I mean, I didn't even know what a spiritual language was. So these things I've been carrying maybe even before I even entered into this world. I don't know, so and I really want to talk about this idea of trauma, because trauma is like such a buzzword lately. Like everyone, you can turn on, go on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, and there's all of these things about trauma. And I just want to be clear on what I think trauma is. Because I think trauma is just an unprocessed emotion. That's all it is, at its very simplest form. Of course, it can be more complex than that. But I want to be clear, it's just an unprocessed emotion, whether or not you didn't get picked for the basketball team, or you had a major accident or event. Right. All of that just boils down to an unprocessed emotion. And I'm not trying to bypass that, because trauma can be complex, and it could be deep and hurt. But when we get to the root of it, it's really about just processing the emotion that wasn't processed. And when that emotion isn't processed, your nervous system does its job and it protects you. And then it remembers. So every time something even remotely close to that comes up to it, your body is going to create that loop of whatever for me, hiding in plain sight, not putting myself out there, holding myself back. Like every time my body got to, oh my gosh, this is going to happen, then that response comes up. And so I think really, if we look at trauma that way, it's more easily approachable to actually access the body wisdom, to do the healing and to do the work. Because as we know in Science of Mind, once we shift the inner world, the outer world follows.
Yeah. Exactly. And you use another phrase in there that I want to dig into also, because it's kind of becoming a buzzword, a catchphrase for a lot of people, but it's also something that's come up in my life over the last year or two, very much so. And that's the emotional system and um, and how to go about regulating and healing those emotional responses that we have. And they look a lot of different ways for a lot of different people. And I've been sharing, as you know, with my audience and everybody, that when I let go of my addiction to marijuana, a lot of things started coming up. And a lot of weird dreams that weren't there when I was self-medicating. And I think for a lot of people, when they start into a healing journey, we get into that emotional system in a way that we don't maybe understand how to work with, or what's going on, or at the simple level, how to handle it. So to help us understand a little more how you're working with your clients to manage all that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's so true. I have a phrase that healing hurts, because healing is not linear, right? And once you start to heal, or you get rid of the substance, everything that you've been using that for just comes up to the surface and bubbles up. And it can feel a lot of things: threatening, scary. You might not even have words for the feeling. You might just go back to the pattern again. And what I found that really helps is developing safety in the body. I cannot emphasize that enough, is that I had to, if I speak in my terms, I had to find safety in the body, that I was okay. So what I do with clients, and what we always do, is we develop a resource, something that we can go and anchor into, a place. It could be imaginary, a real, an event somewhere in the body, where we can anchor into that feeling of safety, of peace, of power, of whatever those words are. It's different for every client. And that is the anchor. And then once the body can feel safe, then we can start an exploration of what's happening, what's going on in the body, and learn to speak the body's language, because the body doesn't speak English at all. It speaks in feelings, emotions, sensations, shutdown, metaphors, symbology. It speaks any other thing but English.
Yes, I would have
or
to
the
agree.
language, or your native tongue.
Yes, I would agree. So we have the emotional body, and we have our nervous system that's involved in all of this as well. And what I hear you sharing, and what I know for myself as well, has been really, really important, is tuning in, being able to listen, and being able to have a conversation with our body temple.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I got back into the gym along this journey, and that was something that, well, you knew me. I rock climb and ski and bike and all kinds of things, and I never needed to go to a gym, and I never wanted to go to a gym. And here I am, like, okay, I don't like when I miss a day now, and I've got a whole new set of people that don't know who I am, but see me there all the time, and we start to have conversations and stuff. So if it's not the gym, what other maybe ideas or thoughts do you have that people can utilize to start having that conversation with themselves in that way again?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that the main thing is to be curious, is to approach everything with curiosity. Like, oh, well, that was an interesting reaction. I wonder where that came from, and start asking questions, not necessarily why questions, because I think that those can lead you in a loop, but what made me feel that way? Or what happened right before that triggered this reaction? How does this feel in my body? I think starting with those curiosity questions is a real game changer. I don't know about you, but I often went to, like, why would I act like that? Why did I do something stupid like that? Like, I would act with the critical voice. But if you just start approaching things with curiosity, that's how I would approach it. Just really, just get curious about what's going on.
Yeah. You're reminding me of some things, and your daughter is a little bit older than my kids, and my kids are just now getting into those early adult years. And over the past several years, there have been times where I've watched their response or their reaction to what I'm saying or what I'm doing, and it would spark me into that, oh wow, I just caused some pain there. And that wasn't my intention, but I can see that I did. And to go in and say, okay, what was it in me that felt that would be an appropriate response to the event, to the experience, to whatever it was that was going on. And I can't count the number of times where I've gone to my kids and say, okay, look, I handled that badly. Like, I see it, I understand it, and I handled it very, very badly. And so what can I do better in those types of situations? And so my teenagers, again, now young adults, they're both over 18. They're both moving out, by the way. And we're at that phase where I can learn from them just as well. So I would have to think that having a mirror, having someone you can trust that is that's honest and can reflect, hey, this is how what you just did landed for me, and I'd rather that not happen again.
Yeah, well, relationships really important. Working with someone's really important. Having that mirror is just so important, because we don't see our own blind spots, and we don't really see how our words land unless somebody has a reaction. So I think that having someone to work with or to relate with is really, really important, to be able to see inside your own world with a different lens.
Yeah, exactly. Right on. Well, folks, if you're just tuning in and wonder what you've stumbled into here today, I'm talking with a longtime friend, Rev Nicole Merges, and we're talking about really the embodiment and how to heal through not just to heal the body temple, but how to heal our emotional body, our spiritual body, through a variety of different modalities. And you mentioned something in your intro that I haven't really dug into and I hadn't really heard of before. Now, it makes sense when you listen to it. Root cause, and I think you used the word coaching, but tell me a little bit more how you found that this modality, this approach, and how you're using it with your clients.
Oh, yeah. It's called root cause therapy, and I'm a practitioner of it. And when I started my coaching business, I created a program called Root to Rise. And I didn't know anything about root cause therapy. And I think I alluded to it earlier, that I would get people to a point and then they would hit a ceiling, and they had great experience. But me as the coach, I was like, I know that I could take them to that next step. And I had also been interested in trauma informed, because I was getting a handle on my own trauma, and then that was causing the symptoms of my body. So I did this free trauma informed coaching class, which was amazing and got on their mailing list. And as I was praying, like, what's the next step to take my clients? This modality, root cause therapy, showed up in my inbox. And I thought, well, that's interesting. My program's called Root to Rise. I'm going to look into this. And I dove into that and I started using it myself. And it just shifted everything. So basically, it's really going back to the origin of when that emotion became unprocessed. So it's through a whole process. I call it science of mind on steroids, because how I work with clients is I'm looking at what belief systems are running in the background of their mind that they may not be aware of. And once we identify those limiting belief systems that are running, we prioritize them. And then we do a process where we go back to the very origin, whether it's in this lifetime or before birth. And we go back to that original event. We process the emotion and we create a new belief. And then through the process of coming back to now, we create that internal shift. And then your external world just starts to change. There's nothing like, the hard work is in the process.
Yeah.
Right. But then once that shifts, then you just notice and become aware. And then it's like, wow, that just changed. Wow, I could do this live without preparing. Holy crap. I never was able to do that before,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of that bright red shiny car syndrome, that, oh, there it is again, and oh, there it is again, and here it is. And what I'm hearing is, once you become aware of it, then it becomes I don't have to come from that any longer. I don't have to operate from that old system, that unprocessed emotion, that unhealed experience. Now everywhere I show up, it's, here I am as me again, and showing up more authentically, I believe.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. The other thing I've been playing with, because I really think that this plays into new thought as well, is that what I've come to realize in my own healing is that the body doesn't follow the mind, but the mind follows the body. And when I realized that, is like, oh, that's why I'm not getting the demonstrations that I want, because they're only in my head, but my body's bracing or being like, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. But once I have my body relax and I get to the point where it's possible and in my body, then it's like, when my body says yes and my mind affirms, it does the spiritual mind treatment, like, that's when the demonstration happens. Wow.
Right on. Cool. All right. Well, folks, we're here with my dear friend, Rev Nicole Merges, and we've already gotten about halfway through our program, and I haven't done a commercial yet, and we really need to. So we're going to take a quick break, let Rev Nicole have a sip of water, and let a couple of our sponsors say hello, let you learn a little bit more about what's going on here at the New Thought Media Network. But please don't go away. We're going to be back in just a minute. While we're gone, you can hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons. But we'll be back in just a moment with more of New Thought Today here on the New Thought Media Network. Stay tuned.
Are you passionate about media, storytelling, and making a difference? Welcome to New Thought Media Network, where your voice matters. We amplify diverse voices and share impactful stories. Join us in our mission. We are a nonprofit organization dedicated to creativity and community, looking for enthusiastic volunteers who want to be part of something bigger, learn, grow, and collaborate in various aspects of media production. Incredible support and camaraderie await you here. Your contributions will help us create powerful content that resonates with audiences and drives social change.
Ready to make a difference? Visit our website www.ntmedia.org to learn more about volunteer opportunities and how you can get involved.
Find our volunteer inquiry under the Engage tab on our website, or visit www.ntmedia.org/volunteer. We look forward to connecting with you soon.
And we're back with more of New Thought Today here on the New Thought Media Network. I'm Reverend Robert. My dear co-host, Reverend Elzia, is off this week, and our special guest is Reverend Nicole Merges. She comes to us from way up in the mountains of Utah. And as I said at the top of the hour, I am kind of jealous because I haven't been over for a while. And I know the view that's out that back deck you can see over her shoulder there. So I'm going to have to make a trip over sometime soon. I just know it. Anyway, we've been talking a lot about her newer work, Bright Soul Wellness. And one of the things I wanted to chat about is I noticed your Substack, you named it Rise to Light.
Root to Light.
Or Root to Light. Yes, sorry. Root to Light. And I love that. And I've been personally having a great time over on Substack. I actually took my primary channel, made it into 2 channels. It's a big, huge story. But I would love to know a little bit more about your experience there and the work that you're doing on that platform.
Yeah, I started writing because one of the things that I covered up with my trauma was that I covered up some of my creativity. And where I was just too fearful or shameful to put myself out there. So I started my Instagram channel and my Substack channel to get out of my own comfort zone. And I've been having a blast. I started writing from Root to Light about my own personal journey, and then that started bringing in some new thought themes into that as well, because I realized that even though my path kind of veered in a different direction, that my foundation is really new thought and science of mind, and that was such a pivotal point for me to enter into healing, because as you know, Science of Mind changed both of our lives. Oh my gosh. And I would say that's the reason why I got into Science of Mind, was to heal. And I did so much healing. So I started to write about my personal story after I left CSL. And then I started to get back to my root of Science of Mind and so now I'm exploring these themes of new thought and the body and the expansion of the definition of mind in Science of Mind to include the body. And so I'm just getting started there. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. I love it. And you bring up a really good point for me that I don't want anybody to think that that you grow out of the Science of Mind. For me, and I believe for you, you would say the same, is it was an entry point, yes, to a greater understanding of who we are as individuals, as who we are as divine beings on this human experience and this journey. And I still find myself, and even though I don't refer to myself as a religious scientist as much anymore, and all my languaging is around the new thought movement versus the specifics of the Science of Mind, I still pick up that book every day. It's still right here at arm's reach from me. I still learn from it. I still find new things in it. And a great friend of mine explained it to me in a way that when you step into any one of the new thought philosophies, now for us it was Science of Mind, it changes your life. And for many, there's really no reason to then continue to search around or to look around other places. Often for many, there is some sort of event or something that happens, and we start to look outside again a little bit more and search a little bit broader. And that's when we come to realize that the New Thought philosophy itself, the movement, is so much bigger than just one organization or one specific teaching within the greater environment. And that's what's happened for me. Anyone watching this program knows that. That's why it's titled the way it is. It's why the network is the way it is. But when I stepped into Substack, I started simply publishing as New Thought Media Network. And in the last several months, I realized it was so much more. And I split off also and have a channel that's more about my own personal journey, while still maintaining the channel that promotes and shares more about the movement itself and the people in that movement and such. So this is a long way of saying I'm opening an invitation. I would love to have you write a cross post for us sometime. We have a subsection of our New Thought Media Network channel that is the Voices of New Thought, and I'd love to have you join us in that conversation sometime. And I can already see you smiling and nodding, so I'll just send you the stuff. But
yeah, please do.
But that brings me to the bigger question we have, and we ask all of our guests on this program. Knowing what you know, all the things that you've done, and you know, your resume in this movement is huge. I'm not going to try to go into it all. But from all of your experience, where do you see the New Thought movement headed in the future? What's the future vision? What do you see as what's where New Thought serves humanity in the next, 10, 20, 50 years or so?
Yeah, I think before I answer that question, I want to preface it with, I think that New Thought should really look at the end user first. So what is it that the people who consume New Thought, what do they need? Do they need healing? Do they need history? Do they need transformation? Like, why are people coming to New Thought? I think that is the question to answer, because when I left the organization, I found New Thought everywhere.
Yes.
It was everywhere. It is not a secret anymore at all. It is everywhere. People are speaking that language like it is the language of today, which it is. And so I think if we're going to talk about the future of New Thought, I think New Thought has to get clear on who their audience is. Who are they reaching and why are they reaching them? Yeah. Because I know that when I went on my journey, it was like, how can I transform? How can I heal? This was my thing. It might be something else for somebody else. And so if I wasn't getting it one place, I was going to look for it somewhere else. Right. And I wasn't, I like I said, I hit the ceiling in New Thought. And so I went searching for it for somewhere else. So I think that the future of New Thought really relies on who the end user is, who's consuming New Thought and why. And then I'd like to think, and this is my work, is the expansion of mind, right? It's not just a brain. And Ernest Holmes says that everywhere in the science of mind, that mind is infinite. But yet when we think of science of mind, most of us think of mind as an organ in our body. And I think that, or I would like to see really, if I'm going to be honest, I'd like to see that concept of mind include our nervous system, include the language of the body, include what happens in our sensations and our emotions. In science of mind, as you know, there's a saying that thought plus feeling equals a demonstration. I'd like to see us dive deeper into that feeling aspect, because that's where it shows up in our body.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. So that leads me to my my wife's favorite question. Every time I do a talk and my wife is in the audience or she watches it online, she at some points looks at me and goes, okay, so how do I do that? So I'm going to ask you that same question. How do you see New Thought bringing this integration of mind, this greater, let's say a greater definition of mind, to the end user that, let's also say, isn't here just to have a spiritual community or to hang out at a spiritual club per se, but actually really experience personal transformation?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think you do it in community. I think you do it with a lot of people sharing the same vision, collaborating, because there's not one right answer. I mean, I personally loved all of the education. That's my passion. So I think you do it by classes. I think you do it by having dialogue. I think you do it by up-leveling our modalities.
Okay.
And having specific modalities, like of how do we find out what is unconsciously running in our mind, what beliefs are unconsciously running, like, and I think you do it in ways that reach people that maybe aren't traditional church setting ways, because I think that there are other, like YouTube, social media, speaking the language. I don't have an answer for it, but I do believe that there are enough people who have been changed by New Thought who are interested in having this conversation and making a change.
Yeah. I believe there's a lot of people that understand the philosophy, understand the modalities, as you say, right? And but for one reason or another, maybe it's proximity, maybe it's some personal hurt, maybe it's some organizational disagreements that aren't in, quote, traditional centers. And I don't remember where there was a point in time where it was shared that the Science of Mind magazine, actually, the predominant subscriber is somebody that isn't within a reasonable distance of a physical center, doesn't have the opportunity to reach into a physical community. Now, you also touch on what I think is probably obviously part of my soul and my heart, that the virtual community is becoming more and more an opportunity to do that. It also, I have noticed now, and you and I, wow, memories flashing through my head of projects. We both got involved with the ideas of virtual community. Church Without Walls was a phrase we would use together, and got into the idea of virtual community long before any of the major traditions, the major denominations started getting involved with it. And now it has become so increasingly prevalent everywhere you turn that it's also becoming a little more difficult to know who to trust, to know what is truth, and versus let's say modern day charlatans or just outright fakery that we see. So we didn't prepare for this question, so if I stump you a little bit, don't hold it against me. But where are some of the places that you're finding things online, maybe people that you're listening to or people that you're following that feel real, that feel authentic, that really feel like they're bringing forward the New Thought message in a way, just as you say, in a way that isn't traditional, just watching somebody's church service from the back of the room?
Yeah. Well, the first person that comes to my mind is Abel Hart. I don't know if you know who Abel Hart is on.
That's a new one for me.
on Instagram, but he is, I don't even know if he identifies as New Thought, but he is singing New Thought songs all over there. He has millions of followers. People are, and it's just about changing your thinking, changing your life. I think I didn't know where you were going with this question, so I'm going to answer it the way I thought you were going, because I think it might.
Okay.
You know what? I really realized like I was invaluable. So I started investing in myself. And like I said, I started chasing the symptoms, and then I started doing the real healing work. Sure. And not every, like Robert Fraser in ministerial school, spiritual psychology, taught Islam. He said something to me that stuck with me. He said, everybody's right, but no one is complete in their rightness. And so I think instead of trying to find the fakery or the edge or where someone is deficient, I get what I need and I move on. And then I don't have to follow anyone. I mean, I do follow people, but I don't have to use them as a guru for just to have a guru, right? Or to follow them blindly. I take what I need and I move on. So, and some of them may be great fakes. They may be like complete fakes, but I got something from them and I'm going to just move on. So that's how I would do it. Otherwise, I could find fault with everyone, including myself, right? And I don't know, that's not where I want to look. But if I do find fault, maybe then that's the question to get curious. Did I get what I need here? Yes. Move on.
Move on. Take what works and leave the rest. Right. Right on. Cool. I like that answer. Thank you. That's good. There is so much out there, and I bump into all kinds of things left and right that people recommend, or have you heard of this person? Check this out. And interestingly enough, for me, I keep finding myself gravitating back towards a number of different channelers, and just I keep bumping into these channels that feel really, really real. And and you find some that feel like, no, this is not, sorry, thank you, not a match. But find the ones that feel real, find the ones that sound truthful for you, and take what works and keep going. Yeah. Perfect. Right on. Folks, we're going to take another really quick break and let Rev Nicole have another sip of water. I do want you to know there's a number of ways you can get in touch with her, and we've had those running across the bottom of the screen here. She's very active on Instagram, and that's why I'm not on Instagram at all. So I have no idea who you're talking about, but I'll have to see if I can find the Able Heart somewhere else. But you can find Rev Nicole on Instagram, Substack, and Facebook. We also have a free meditation that we're going to give you a link to after the break. So you definitely want to stay tuned and stay with us. We're going to take a quick break and say thank you to some of our organizational sponsors and individual donors. But we'll be back in just a moment with more on New Thought Today and Rev Nicole Merges. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Home Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, come be you. And we're back with more of New Thought Today here on the New Thought Media Network. I'm with my dear friend and colleague, Rev Nicole Merges. And we've been having a great conversation, folks. If you're just tuning in, well, you've kind of missed it. But that's okay, because it's all available on our archives over on our YouTube page. All of our programming has its own individual playlists over there. You can go check those out. And all the reruns, all the past episodes live on our YouTube channel. So please check that out. And I would like to give a quick shout out to our dear friends at the at the International New Thought Alliance. Now, in all transparency, I do serve on the executive board of directors over there, and we will be at Unity Village coming up in May for our 111th International Congress. It's part business meeting, part inspirational retreat, and it all happens May 4th through the 9th at Unity Village. Just do a quick search for International New Thought Alliance, and all the information will come up, and you can click on our event page there. I'll be speaking, as well as a number of other people from around New Thought Media Network. We invite you to come join us again. International New Thought Alliance, the 111th Congress coming up in early May this year. So, all right. Well, Reverend Nicole, we've got a little bit of time left here, and I always like to check in. We've got a link to give away one of your meditations, but before we get to that, is there anything we've neglected, anything you were hoping that we would talk about today that we didn't get a chance to talk about?
The one thing that comes to my mind is this concept of building capacity. Because a lot of people think when you do healing, that you have to get rid of things, right? Or you have to just, I need to get rid of that behavior, or I need to quiet that emotion down. And I think that the opposite is true. I think to heal is to build the capacity to hold all of it. We are whole, perfect, and complete. And when we say the word whole, we mean everything, right? Not just the good stuff. And so when we build the capacity to hold it all, the sorrow, the joy, the pain, the exhilaration, then things find their place within us, and they don't need to compete to express themselves as our trauma responses, as our unprocessed emotions, because we've created the capacity for all of it. And so I think healing really isn't about getting rid of things. It's about making space for all of it to exist within you.
Wow, right on. Now, see, we could do a whole nother half hour just on that alone. So thank you for bringing it into the conversation. Before we do go, folks, we want to let you know we've just dropped a link into the chat box of whatever platform you're watching this on, and that link is going to go across the bottom of the screen as well. So this is a free meditation that Reverend Nicole's offering for anybody that would like us. Tell us a little bit about what we can grab over on this website, Nicole.
Yeah, it's a body-based guided meditation, and it's really about using a resource. We talked about the resource earlier about creating safety in the body. So this is really it's a trauma-informed, body-based guided meditation where we're creating safety in the body, and we're using a resource to ground ourselves and to still ourselves in our inner world while the outer world does what it's doing right now.
And the outer world is going to do what it does. Yeah. So we're not going in there. We're not going there today, folks. Don't
not
worry
today.
So, all right. Well, hey, I want to thank you again for being with us today. Folks, those that are watching, thank you for tuning in. Please do remember you can connect with Rev Nicole on her Facebook page, Bright Soul Wellness, and on Substack, as well as Instagram, Nicole Merges. Both of those are at Nicole Merges. Follow up and hit that subscribe button everywhere you go. Drop a few bucks in her Substack and sign up for the monthly thing on her Substack. Do that for all of us. I love Substack because it allows people the space to write at a deeper level than any other platform out there. Every other platform, it's scroll, and Substack is really built around that engagement, and I really like that. So please engage with her wherever you might find her, and tune in next week. Our guest is going to be Reverend Jeffrey Ryan. Always great conversation. We'll be talking about Convention of the Americas, and I'm sure quite a bit more. So join us for that next week at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. Check out the archives on our YouTube channel for this program and all our programs. And before we go, we always like to do a final thought and kind of wrap it up for folks. So Reverend Nicole, what would be your final thought for today's program?
Oh, my final thought is to get curious about yourself. You are so amazing, and just get curious about how amazing you really are.
Beautiful. I love it. Thank you. For me, I'm going to tag on a little bit with that because you've been saying it all along today. It's all about the body. Tap into what the body is telling you. Be willing to listen to what the body is telling you, because to me, it's more and more, it's about embodying these principles. And we can't do that if we don't know where the body is to begin with. So let's get curious and listen to your body. Nicole, thanks again for being with us. Everyone else, thank you. Until next time, we wish you peace and richest blessings. Bye now.